This is actually a very quick, but deadly and effective pattern. I'm going to be tying a midge, and this is going to be a blood midge. I've got a actually size 20 in the vise here, and I'll tie it smaller than that. Got a scud hook, barbless in the vise, and then I've got just a glass clear bead on the front that's going to kind of mimic an air bubble. The main thing you want to be sure of here when you're tying this particular pattern is to not overdo the thread wraps. We do want this fairly thin. So I'm just going to take my copper wire, and I'm going to want to tie that in up here at the front rather than at the back, and that will just help us make sure that we keep a uniform body here. And you'll note that I'm going to go relatively slow because I want touching turns. I don't want a lot of bulk. So I'm just going to come around the bend here. If I tied in the copper more towards the back, I'd end up with a lot more of a bump towards the back of this pattern, which is not what I'm looking for. So once I've got that down, I'm going to move right back up, again working to try to take touching wraps as much as I possibly can to create that more uniform body on this pattern. There we go. We'll just bring that back up here by the bead. Once I've got that done, I'm just going to grab hold of my copper wire that I've tied in, and we're just going to take some open wraps moving up for some ribbing here on the pattern. This is extra small copper I'm using, just because it's small, a size 20, small fly. Get that right up here behind the bead. Hold it straight up, and we'll just take, again, not a lot of thread wraps here, because I do want to keep this, I keep saying that, keep this pretty small. With that, I'm just going to turn my vise sideways. I'm going to helicopter this extra small wire. It'll break right off for me. I have enough left over to tie up one additional fly at least. So when I tie in the peacock curl, I'm going to do my best to try to keep this. You'll notice some of the fibers are sticking straight up and towards the eye of the hook. I want those pointed up as much as I can. I'll just make it a little bit more puffy. It'll make that stand up a little bit more like a hackle when we're tying it in, or when we're wrapping it. And I'm only going to want this about a bead length away. I'm just going to fasten that right back down and turn my vise sideways here and come on in with my scissors and clip that balance off. And there's still a little poking out there. That's fine because it just goes with it. Then I'm going to be relatively careful with my peacock. And I'm just going to take kind of touching turns, kind of like I would palmer a hackle, moving that forward up towards the bead. And it's really only going to take 4 or 5 turns of the material is all it's going to take. So right about there, right as I'm coming up on the other side, I just grab my thread and I'll throw it over, taking a couple wraps over that to secure that into place. Then I'll pull the peacock curl back a little bit there and take a couple of turns there. For all intents and purposes, we're now done. I'm going to grab my whip finisher, put in a 4 or 5 turn whip finish. So thread is the body, because I should have said that from the beginning. By now I'm sure it's very apparent and obvious. Go ahead and turn our fly upside down, and we'll disconnect our thread there. Grab my scissors, and I'll take off the balance of my peacock, just like that. And with that, we're done. Very quick, easy, and effective pattern, the blood midge. Give it a shot. It's a really good one, especially for beginners, because there's not a lot of materials on the fly, but you'll get to work with the peacock curl a little bit, and trying to keep that body nice and thin.